And sometimes I spoke with my mistress of other things. I asked her if she loved the Indians so, why did she not go and live with her second husband's people? To this, she answered that sometimes in the winter she went to them, but most had died from the pestilence, and this was her home. The land was good. Then she spoke freely. She told me of the rites and dances and the beasts of the place. And I told her this. It sounded like the devil talking, but she took me out when it was night and said, "Come, don't you notice?" But there was nothing save the mountain and the forest, and this I told her. "No," she said, "listen," and we were quiet. And suddenly there it was, pacing, and there are no words to describe it, I do not lie. And fear oppressed my heart, but my mistress comforted me. For had not he promised, "For every beast of the forest is mine"? Then we went back, and time passed, maybe 3 weeks, and the days were the same, and we both wondered what had happened to my captor. When there arrived a party, and lo, they were not Indians, but 3 English scouts, and such was their surprise when they saw me with my babe. And my spirit leaped, though I knew none by name, but they knew my story, for some of our captors had been ransomed, and told them I'd been taken. And I wept because it pained me to recall my dear husband and my family. As for my mistress, now was I afraid that they might slay her. So I said that she was a Christian who had been martyred to a praying Indian, that she continued to bring light to these dark forests. I saw she had removed her ring and necklace to her pocket. Then we welcomed them and brought them food, and one of them, he bid me sit near him, and from his pockets took an apple and invited me to taste. And I laughed and said, "Who am I, Eve?" For he frightened me so. That night we slept up in the loft, and my mistress closed the trap door and moved o'er it some boards. I knew that it was so, that none would come in to us unchastely. The next morning, before the sun rose, they went out, and when they came back, it was evening, and they were laughing, and I asked what made them so. Then the one who had offered me the apple reached into his bag, and there, wrapped in leaves, was a hand, small like a child's. Tomorrow, he said, they would leave to bring more soldiers, for the boy had told them the location of the village, and they would avenge the murderers of our people. Then it was time to eat, so my mistress went out to the garden, and I could see that she was weeping. When she returned, I went to her. She did not let me prepare the supper, but she sent me up into the loft. And then she came to me and closed the door again. She had her axe. Downstairs the men were eating, and she said, "You must understand what is about to happen must happen, so that there is no more bloodshed." And I must have looked afraid, for she said, "It is so the evil stops." And I was crying and nodded, but I did not understand. I saw she had put back on her ornaments, and she said, "It is what is right." And from below us came a groaning and a scrape of the chair, and plates crashed, and a body on the floor was heaving. Then a second groan rose, and a third, and one of them screamed that they'd been poisoned, and we heard the ladder creak, and there was a pounding on our door. There we went and tried to block them from coming up, but with their guns they hammered and broke it open. Then my mistress went with her axe and struck one, but the other had his musket and shot her through her good heart and killed her, and I took her axe. The man came, and as God is my witness, I acted only to defend my child. Then I took his musket and went and found one, retching, who in his agony had pushed his way outside. I thought he was dead, but he came at me, and God did not forsake me, but steadied my hand. Then I was wailing, my child wailing, but I feared I must work swiftly, for others would come and find them. I strapped my child to my back and got the shovel and went out into the meadow above the house and dug and didn't stop until dawn. and then I went and dragged the bodies through the high wet grass. There I buried them, the men together and my mistress nearer to the house, and prayed for their souls that they might be forgiven for their sinning. And this I write and swear to be true, for I must leave, and I cannot bear my secret any longer. May you that find it know what happened here in this time of great conflict in the colony of Massachusetts by she who briefly called this place her home. Hi, this is my Aunt Effie. I read a lot, and sometimes I'm not sure if I read a book or not, so I started this YouTube channel to help me keep track of what I've read and what about it I liked and what I didn't like. And you might enjoy checking out my channel to see if there's a book here that you might want to read. I also love to talk about what I have read. So if you agree with my reviews, let me know. Or if you have a different perception, I'd love to hear about that. I recently finished North Winds by Daniel Mason. It was published in 2023, and there is an author pick. What I just read to you is an excerpt from the book. This is the author. We don't know where the story ends or begins. There are so many stories in this book. They are about us. They are about us upon the land. But the land is the constant, and the people's stories are like ghosts that blow across and don't matter too much. Not really. Let's start out this review by looking at some of the amazing drawings that are in the book, and I'll let them give us the groundwork. What I find amazing about the drawings is that they show both the beauty and the joy of what was happening, but they also show that things were quite bleak for the people. So our story begins, I don't know how well you can see that, but there are two sets of people there, a tree and a mountain lion in between the people and the tree. Our story begins with two young people being chased from Plymouth by the village people. It was really hard. The soles of their shoes peeled from their feet, their soles peeled from their shoes, and they bound their feet with rags, and they ran and they ran and they ran. They were nature's wards now, and they ran until they finally felt safe, and they opened up a bag of seeds and they started to plant. I have one more picture to show you there. This picture kind of looks like a woman carrying a baby. But actually, where it sits in the story, it would be part of their running together, and that would just be a bundle of stuff, rags, seeds, clothing, pieces, things that they would use for shelter. The third picture I want to show you an apple seed grew from the belly of the carcass of a man. By the end of August, it has 18 leaves. I'll show you. Just really, really interesting and beautiful drawings. So, a man goes into battle, called upon to fight in the Civil War. He leaves instructions behind. How to care for the apple trees. A bachelor leaving behind his two young daughters, twins. picture for you. Oh, I love this one. Seeds travel and grow. They travel in pantcuss, in ship ballast, on the wind, in feed, a mattress ticking, in the pocket of a milkmaid who thought it was a carrot, the hem of a skirt, the stocking of a soldier. The writing in this book is incredible. The stories, very interesting, very moving. Apple seeds move across the earth. An apple lover whose dream is to grow apples is looking to buy land to grow and cross-pollinate apples. He searches, and a strange boy takes him deep into the woods to show him a lone apple tree of an unknown variety. This book, In the Woods, is a story that covers the evolution of a bit of land. The seeds that go across the land, a family, when an odd man, an apple-loving man, buys a piece of land and brings his young daughters from the city to live in the wilderness. We begin our story with multiple layers of stories that layer one upon another. Okay, another picture. There are tons of pictures in this book. I'm only showing you a few. We experience the passing of time by the movement of ownership of the land from one generation to another. And time goes on and on. The apples grow. The author takes us down the road of time with letters sent from friend to friend, and later letters sent from prison to a lonely woman. I have one more picture for you. This picture moved me so much because it looks like a place that I would love to be. I would love to have something like this on land that I own, land that I walked on every day. It would be fabulous. One more reading, and then I'm going to end this review. I'm sorry it's so long, but the book is so rich. I absolutely couldn't do it any less. Okay, I'm just going to page 161. Not to his daughter, for she knows his secret, had been kept from her deliberately, not to her sister in Boston, for she would be disgusted by the sin, condemn his memories for its godlessness, not to her family back on the island, too distant, not to her friends, though there are so few now, for they wouldn't understand what love had driven her to do. Not to his neighbors, for he has a right to be remembered as the person he pretended. Not to the priest, oh God, no. Not to the sad, stumbling Oakfield drunks whom she imagines as more understanding but less discreet. Not to William, for he cannot answer, though she dreams he answers, though it is his forgiveness that she needs. Last December, and she haunts the house he left her, rises in the morning and walks its rooms, its stairs, its corridors, opens doors, just looking, ghosts everywhere. She senses them, knows that there is no such thing. Sometimes seeks his presence. William, where are you? Is that you, William? I saw the curtains shifting. I heard rustling. Just say so and I'll tell you everything. I will explain. Just a signal, puff of vapor in the mirror, dent in the pillow, a word. But the whole house breathes, always has, creaks and tilts, cracks and whispers with the cold. A whole chorus, but in none of them is it him. In the mornings she walks outside and where once they walked together, wears his jacket, his scarf, his mittens. The snow, knee-deep in places, but it doesn't stop her. Before, she carried the two of them through worse. She goes because it is the only place where she can bear his absence, because the cold, the treacherous path, they make their own demands, distract her from her secret. Two secrets, his and hers. Everywhere, the tracks of little animals, the deep steps of the deer, the snow renders their passage legible, reveals the long night's silent maps. Would they listen, the animals? She smiles ruefully, imagines the chipmunk scolding from his oak confessional, the gossiping chickadees, the wolf's summary revenge. No, not to mouse or martin, not to the river, not to the earth. But maybe? Stops there in the forest and looks around her. Then she's on her knees, digging into the snow until she strikes the moss beneath it. Throws off her mittens, digs again, then she hits the frozen earth. She grabs a stick and scrapes the gravel, the fine roots, black loam crumbles, deeper now, until she can press her face into the hole. Inhales it, the sweet, cold smell of moss and soil. Whispers into it, feels the warmth of her breath rise back to her, looks down to where she'll bury it, and then presses her mouth into the hollow and begins to speak. Okay, I think you already know that I love the book. It is a thing of beauty. Well, if you have read it, tell me. What do you think? If you haven't read it, tell me, what are you reading right now? I'd love to know what you think. This is my Aunt Effie saying goodbye. I hope that you are reading something really good. I am.